I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed because you all seem to have got to know our Swiss watch system quite well, even better than me, because I called you really too early. And actually somebody brought it up and said, why so early? And I said, because some people want to go home for work. All right. Before you cannot go home for work, we have our last highlight of the day. He is sitting amongst you right now, but not for long anymore. I'm extremely happy for the third time at this conference to welcome Mike as a speaker. Mike, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming all the way from Seattle, correct?
Correct.
I think he traveled how you say this, the furthest?
I certainly took the most modes of transportation because I included a ferry from Helsinki to...
You came by ferry,
yeah.
by ferry from Helsinki here to Tallinn.
Thank you very much, Estonia Air.
Okay. So it was this famous 48 hours trip. Yeah. Well done.
27 door to door.
27. Okay. So all the way from Seattle, in the US, coming here to Tallinn, just to talk to you, Mike Hines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey guys, thank you for making it through 2 days of a lot of really high intensity presentations. I go to a lot of conferences, around the world actually, and more often than not, half of the presentations I attend all have something to do with buying paid downloads or getting a new ad mediation system or something along those lines. Almost every presentation I sat in today, with the possible exception of one or two of mine, showed code. I think I was the only guy who didn't actually show a lot of code. So that's very, very cool. But it also is really exhausting. So I get that you guys are tired. I will try and make this as quick and interesting as possible. Now, Amazon sells a lot of stuff, but why do we care about what people do socially online? Well, we have an app store, and we sell a bunch of Android apps to people with Android phones. And one of the problems is not a lot of people are making a bunch of money. As a matter of fact, most of the money is going to the top 10% of apps out there. And fortunately, the money that's left over, there's a significant amount. But it's hard to make a living being an app developer. And so we were taking a look at it, and Vision Mobile did a survey to kind of find out where the poverty line is for developers. And the way they measured that is, did your last app... Yes. A quart of milk. Yeah, I'll be home in 27 hours. Please stay seated until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign. Fair enough. It takes an app generating $500 a month in order to reasonably fund the development of your next app. If you can't fund your next app with your current app, you don't have a business. So that's what Vision Mobile called the developer poverty line, or the app poverty line. And depending on what app store you're looking at, somewhere between 40 and 60% of developers are actually above the app poverty line. That's not good for developers, and it's not good for any stores who depend on developers to exist as stores. If y'all drop out of the business because you're not making any money, who do we have to sell? We don't have the kind of choice for our customers. So figuring this out is exceptionally important for a company that sells stuff for a living, which is kind of why I'm here talking to people who ostensibly write code for a living. one of the things that we took a look at earlier today was how to be really successful with in-app purchasing. And that's kind of how you make money inside your app. But there's another way to make money too. Making money outside of your app actually can be just, if not more important, as how to make money inside your app. Now, the coffee cup is up here kind of with the handle the wrong way, because as engineers, we all tend to look at what's inside the binary we've written. And if there's a problem with monetization or retention, we look at what's inside the binary and what code can we change to fix that. What I want you to do is take a look at the right-hand column and take a look at the different activities or things we can do outside of our app that will really help make a difference. And most of this is actually leveraging social funding, social communications. And it's not just social, making sure that players talk to other players or users talk to other users, but it's you guys talking to your customers. So let me give you a little background on how we're going to turn your customers into big fans of your app. We'll start with the fact that retention is where it's at as far as monetization is concerned. We've got a survey here by Apptentive, and if you can interact with your customers, you're going to have 4 times as many customers 3 months later than if you do not interact with the people who are using your applications. That's a big deal, and that's all going to take place outside of your binary, outside the coffee cup, in the world of social. The top 50 apps get this, and they've got lots of mechanisms to engage with their customers socially outside the app. Earlier today, we learned that the longer a customer uses your application, the more money they tend to spend in it. For example, someone who's just used your app for 1 day spends less than someone who's used it for 30 days. As a matter of fact, that 30-day user, does anyone remember how much more the 30-day user makes or spends? How much? Very good. Okay, I wish I had something to give you. You're right. 60%. If you've been in the app for 30 days, using it for 30 days, you'll make 60% more money from that user. Long-term users, high retention rate users are where you're going to make most of your money. And we've got the data from the Amazon App Store surveys to back this up. 64% of the money that you're going to make on your mobile application comes from somebody's 3rd or later order. Your repeat customers are gold. From 74% of you, 74% of the revenue you're ever going to make has come after the first week. All right. For those of you who have been tracking retention numbers, yes, you do lose 80% of your customers after the first 7 days, but you've still got about 3/4 of the money left on the table. And more than half of the money you're going to make after 1 month. Retention matters. And using social outside your game is one of the big ways we're going to get it. Newzoo did some research, and Newzoo has found that this outside of your app, turning a customer into a fan, into an advocate, is where a lot of that money is going to come from, and a lot of that retention is going to come from. All right. But we're talking apps, right? And I'm telling you about things like a fan base. How does that fit? We're typically used to building a minimum viable product. I remember when I first started coding games, all you had, which was a while ago, all you had to do was actually write a good game. You'd put it up in the store, and people would download it. Yay, that was easy. Okay, that doesn't work anymore. If anyone wants to try that, it's not going to work anymore. So we had to work on things like monetization, because we can't just sell something for $4.99 on the App Store like we used to and get away with it. 96% of all the revenue mobile apps are going to make are going to come from in-app purchases, most likely in a freemium model. So now we have to become monetization experts. Well, except now that there are, roughly 1 million free apps out there that are doing this, we've got to become user acquisition experts too. All right. Well, that's kind of where we are today. 2/3 of your time is spent doing stuff other than the reason you got into the business. You're busy being marketers and monetizers. But now at least you've got what today is a minimum viable product. But there's more than that, and it's going to take more than just that minimum viable product to actually be really successful as we move forward. We're going to have to be a lot more mature in our industry, kind of like other industries. Now, sports comes to mind as a marketplace or an industry that generates fantastic fan bases. But it's not like that for every sport. I love target shooting. I was actually on the U.S. shooting team. In 1988, I was 6 people away from going to the Olympic Games. That's pretty good. But I'll bet not one of you has ever heard of me before. Yeah. Don't feel bad. No one had a jersey with my name on the back. No one was wearing my number around. My mom didn't have a jersey with my name on the back. Okay, target shooting is a great sport if you're a participant. I spent lots of money. I did a lot of traveling. I got all the magazines. I got all the coaches. But as a spectator sport, as a sport with a fan base, the sport's done a lousy job. Kind of like we as app developers are doing a lousy job. All right, these guys do a great job. As a matter of fact, people don't actually pay to play, they get paid to play. It's everybody who shows up to watch them that starts spending the money. And everybody's got a jersey with somebody's name on it. As a matter of fact, people spend money that's not even going to the teams. I buy hot dogs from someone. The team never sees that money. The league never sees any money from the hot dog sales. Or the parking I go. A fan base can generate far more revenue than any of the players can ever generate inside the sport. It's also the best way to get new players and solve some of your user acquisition problems. So think about either football, soccer football, or football, American football. I'm working on that distinction. How much do you think the National Football League in the United States paid to get my son as a player? All right, if you guessed 0, you're correct. The cost per install of new football players is 0. He begged to play football. Wouldn't it be great if your customers begged to play your application? That's the kind of thing that a strong fan base can start to generate for you. And at this point, usually 2 or 3 people get up and walk out of the room because they're certain I've lost my mind. But I haven't, actually. I know that we're talking about mobile applications. A lot of people are here thinking, even a mobile game isn't like this, right? All right, how many of you are skeptical? Be honest. No one? Really? You guys are engineers. Come on, how many people are skeptical? I'm bringing a lot more credibility to the table than I thought. Okay, but I will still back this up. Because in the world of esports alone, this is just video games, not football or soccer video games, but video games of any kind, including World of Warcraft and things like that. In 2014, 89 million people said that they were avid watchers of other people playing video games. 117 million more said that they were casual watchers of other people playing video games. And that generates a ton of money. Last year, almost 200 million, and by 2017, just about a little over $4.5 million of revenue is going to be generated by people watching other people play video games. Who here watches other people play video games? Anyone? Look around, you guys. Look around. Yeah, that's a lot of hands of people who watch other people play video games. And actually, when I was telling you that football players, American football players, get paid for playing, well, this guy just signed a deal with Red Bull. Everyone's heard of Red Bull. Red Bull isn't some video game company. Red Bull is in all kinds of extreme sports, Formula One racing, airplane racing, hydroplane racing, and video game playing. But you never thought you'd hear that in the same sentence. But it's real money. They're paying this guy and his friends a ton of money to play Call of Duty for Red Bull, with Red Bull branding. And it makes a lot of difference. These guys here, what are they doing? They're like the John Madden sportscaster for World of Warcraft. And these guys are here, and they're doing a play-by-play analysis of someone's hero trying to go capture the flag. Look behind these guys. They're not in the conference room like we are. You know where they are? Okay, I'll never mind the suspense. They're in World Cup Stadium, South Korea, for the World Championships of World of Warcraft. They packed that stadium. And everyone who was in there wasn't in there for free. Everyone who was in there paid to get in there. This is real. And this is what a fan base can do for you. So it's an amazing thing having people so excited about what you've done that they pay to get into a stadium, and it'll pay the salaries of these guys to do a play-by-play announcement. So how do you leverage this for the stuff that you're working on? Well, that's where building a fan base comes in. Fortunately, in the Amazon App Store, I've got just about 500,000 apps that I can look at and find out who's doing a really good job of this and who's not. Most of us, myself included, come into the category of not doing a good job. But the people who are doing a good job have left behind some tips for us that we can try and look at and see if we want to use. And we've broken it up into three general kinds of fans. The first kind of fan, arguably the most important kind of fan that you want to look for, is the fan influencer. And these are the people who are going to drive behavior of kind of a lot of other people. They're the first adopters. And these people are going to show people how great what you've done is. They're going to explain how to use it. And they're the people who are, you know these people. Hey, Bob, I'm going to buy a set of speakers. You do a lot of that audiophile stuff. What speakers should I get? That guy's an influencer. When your mom asks you, how do you close this window? I've been clicking on the button and it doesn't close. And you have to show your mom which button to click on to close the window. You're an influencer. You're an early adopter. You're a center of influence in your community. Most of you guys are centers of influence. And I'll bet you some of you don't even know that you guys are centers of influence. But when people come to you and ask you about stuff, you're acting as an influencer. There are game players who pick up new stuff that act as influencers, and there are ways that you can help them be effective influencers for you. They come in two flavors. They come as advocates and they come as entertainers. Advocates are going to love what you've done, and they're going to create stuff that helps get the word out and that expresses their love of what you've done. Does anyone recognize the picture up here? It's a League of Legends character, and this person just felt so moved by League of Legends that they created this art. Now, if you ran League of Legends, would you just want this to go to waste and sit somewhere where it'll never be found? Or do you want to promote the heck out of this and say, look at what our fans are doing? Yeah, okay, well, League of Legends is smart. They figured out that they want to promote this kind of stuff. They want to promote this kind of fan art. And they actually give you different awards and badges for creating art and being an advocate and sharing your excitement with other people who then kind of pick up on that buzz that's being generated by your early adopter advocates. And it's not just games either. Your early adopters, your advocates, influencers, are going to be the people who write your app's very first reviews. Most people who have put apps in an app store have figured out that when you launch your app, and you have 0 reviews and 0 star ratings, you show up nowhere near the top of search results, no matter how precisely you try and search for your app. It's not an accident. All of our search algorithms, including Amazon's, looks at things like reviews, number of reviews, and star ratings when we go ahead and we stack the search results. If you want to get organic page views in a store, you need a great ranking and you need lots of reviews. Who's going to provide that? Well, that's right. Your influencers, your early adopter advocates are going to provide that. Just like in this calculator kitty application. Earlier, I was talking about stupidly simple applications that any of you could write in a weekend. Welcome to another one. Now, this one has a ton of downloads. Why? Because when they launched, they are starting with a 5-star review and 42 reviews. We'll talk about how they got that in just a little bit. Another thing that advocates can do for you is operate in their sphere of influence. This is a photography website, or it's a photography blog. And there's a review site here where you can go to photography or photo.net and talk about all things cameras and lenses. Oh, and software. Somebody's asking about Lightbox software. And an early influencer, an advocator, is here talking about the Adobe Lightroom product. They're advocating for the software in their sphere of influence. Do you know how hard it would be for you to try and find all the right places to place ads, or to be an advocate for yourself? An army of influencers can be very helpful in this regard. Similarly, they're talking here about what blogging platform to use. As a matter of fact, how many of you guys actually have a blog that you guys maintain? A bunch of you. How many of you are using WordPress? Okay, about everyone who raised their hand is using WordPress. I use WordPress too. Why? Because of a super detailed analysis? No, because all the people I went to, all the sites I went to said, yeah, you should use WordPress. Those are influencers, those are advocates. We're going to take a look at how we get those people. This is an example of an entertainer, or how we build advocates. So Vlambeer is writing a game, Nuclear Throne. They haven't finished the game when we did this analysis, but he's actually developing his code on Twitch. And when the boss dies and falls over, all of these people who are chatting with him and watching him build the game say, dude, that's lame. It's got to be more exciting than that. So what he does is he says, okay, well, how about if he bursts into flames, sparks fly out of him, and then he falls over and dies? And they're like, yeah, dude, that's cool. Okay, do that. So he changes the code, he manipulates the sprite, and now the boss has this wonderful death. Every one of the 8.2 million people who have watched him develop his game are thinking, yeah, we changed that game. We've got skin in the game now. This is now kind of like a little bit our game. When he launches that game, when Vlambeer launches this game, he's got a whole bunch of people who have subscribed to his channel. 11,500 people spend about $13 a month to subscribe to his channel and watch him do this. By the way, that's a great stream of revenue, if you can get it. That many people. When he launches this game, do you think they're going to go up on that site and give it a great review? Dude, I helped the boss on level 3 look great. Yeah, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to give it a great review. So he's going to have a bunch of his first reviews written before he ever launches his game. This is very powerful, as we discussed earlier, to get shown at the top of the rankings. Similarly, if you don't want to go ahead and actually write your code, because if, well, you're writing a utility app, it's not as exciting for boss deaths. But you can actually take your entire development team, and your entire development team can go on Twitch and say, hey, what's the right mechanic for accomplishing this particular task for this particular problem we're trying to solve? And everyone can chime in, and hey, if you go ahead and you beta test this for us, we'll go ahead and we'll give you a t-shirt. T-shirts are easy to do. We'll talk about that in just a sec. But it's another way that you can help get people skin in the game before you ever launch your app and get those first fans of your game. Oh, building fans. Yeah, get those first fans of your game before it ever launches. This guy, Rainad27, is an entertainer. He does this for a living. He plays video games, gets other people to pay to watch him, and he's really good at this one game, Hearthstone. And the neat thing about it is by playing and by helping other people become better at playing the game, if you're better at playing it, you're more engaged with it. You like it more. You'll play it longer. Entertainers are huge. And they don't even have to be game-playing entertainers either. PewDiePie is. For example, are you familiar with the Flappy Bird story? Okay, no one cared about Flappy Bird. What a stupid game. I mean, you've seen it, right? Until he comes on YouTube, gets super excited, starts squealing about hitting a column that comes from a Nintendo game, and as soon as he starts talking about Flappy Birds, the Google search hits for Flappy Bird go through the ceiling and ad servers around the world start crashing. Dude, I wish I had that problem. So we need to appeal to people like that who are entertainers. Mark Cuban, the guy behind Shark Tank and a couple small businesses, loved Alyssa's Cookies, an online cookie store. And he started promoting them on his show. What do you think happened to Alyssa's Cookies orders? Yeah, straight through the roof. So making it easy for these entertainers and advocates to promote your app is really important. And remember, they're entertainers, particularly Cuban, PewDiePie, and guys like Reynad27. They have an audience that they're trying to appeal to. Make it easy for them to appeal to their audience. If they show you an amazing game on the iPhone and you can't get it on Android, they're going to get hate mail. And it's not going to be very, dude, why is Reynad showing me something I can't get? Or if you're only on Android and you're not on iPhone, that's going to be a big blocking issue. So you've got to be, one, accessible to their fans. Two, try not to make entertainers do a lot of work. Do you think he actually went out and found Alyssa's Cookies by mistake, or do you think they actually sent him cookies because they know he's trying to avoid gluten? Yeah, you bet they targeted that. And people who go and send games to PewDiePie hoping that they'll play them, often those end up in a delete file. But if you send him a video of something that would thrill his audience, well, that's better. And particularly if you say, look at the boss death on level 3. Here's a 10-second video of that. Here's how you get to it when you play the game. Your audience is going to love this. It's easy for him to digest. It's no work for him to show his audience. He squeals a little bit while he shows it. All of a sudden, he's hugely popular, and he's had to do zero work because you've done the legwork for him. Most people who want PewDiePie to watch their games just send him a copy of the binary and hope that magic happens. That doesn't work. That's not the way you do it. Make it very easy for these guys. And all of a sudden, this tiny little group of influencers you've got are going to drag the mainstream of all of these other users into your game and helping you get incredibly low-cost average installs. All right, so we've got influencers. Now we need content creation. Content creation. What kind of content creation is there? A couple kinds. We've got entertainers create content, educators create content, and I'll explain what I mean by educators in a sec. Broadcasters create content, and then finally there's that, with third-party businesses or passionate customers that create content. The first kind are entertainers. So when you've got PewDiePie on YouTube, he's creating content around games like Flappy Bird that other people will subscribe to and download. Trust me, a YouTube video is content. And when you take a look at who the top subscribed content producers are on YouTube, with the exception of the YouTube channel itself, the top 3 are people who play games. I mean, this is before President Obama. This is before Katy Perry, for goodness sakes. Katy Perry and Rihanna are not as popular as people who record themselves playing video games and get other people to subscribe to that. Wow. All right, so there are a whole bunch more that aren't in the top 3 who would love to be in the top 3, and they would love to show what you're working on if you can convince them that it's their way towards the top of their market share. They want something out of this just as much as you do, and if you help them, they'll help you. Educators. Educators can teach people how to be better. We talked about Reynad27, who kind of shows people how to be better. People can generate content, tutorials. Here's how you play this one hero. Here's how you battle someone who's got this other hero. Here are ways that you can be better at the game. They're creating content. Now, what are you ready to do to help these people be successful? Are you just kind of going to hope they do, and when you see some YouTube video that has your app up there, are you just going to say yay, or are you going to start tweeting about that? Are you going to help the guy who's teaching people how to use your app? Are you going to promote him as hard as you can? Well, of course you are. Because when you make a hero out of the guy who makes one of these videos, one, he's a lot more encouraged to make more videos, and other people who want to be heroes are going to see that you're in the hero-making business. And they're going to want to be a rock star, superstar, so they're going to start making stuff for your app so that you can promote them and turn them into a rock star with their friends. Dude, the guy who made this game is tweeting all about my video. Isn't that cool? It works. And that helps generate more buzz and makes you look a whole heck of a lot more popular than you'd be if you just ignored these guys. Content can also help find new ways of using things. For example, Blackboard is a student information management system. It's a tool that colleges in the US and some international schools use to help teachers manage assignments and things like that. Well, here's a teacher who has figured out how to use this assignment management tool to actually keep and retain students' attention, particularly if they have attention deficit disorders. Now, if you're Blackboard, wouldn't you want to promote the heck out of that and let everybody know that Blackboard can be used in ways they'd never even thought of? Absolutely you would. But if you look down here, 237 views. How many teachers do you think would love to find a way to keep their students more engaged? Every one of them is my guess. And they're advertising Blackboard. Is Blackboard helping this video get views? No. But look at the one next to it. It's about how to do 3D printer imaging with a piece of an Xbox, with the Xbox Connect camera. And he's teaching you how to hack this Xbox Connect for something that has nothing to do with a Microsoft video game. Do you think Microsoft is promoting this and saying, hey, look what you can do with Microsoft technology? Heck yeah, because everyone who wants to print something in 3D now is a reason to go out and buy an Xbox or Xbox One. And he's got 38,000 views for something that is arguably a lot less sticky or a lot less important than actually helping students pay more attention in class. Promote people who are promoting you. It comes back tenfold. Endless content. The more content you have, the more you can keep people in the game because it's new, it stays fresh. Again, retention is going to be big here. How many people have played Trivia Crack? If you haven't, it's an incredibly addictive game where you get to answer questions and compete with other people and try and become the best in your local group or the best in your neighborhood or the best in the world. The problem is, when you have millions of people playing, how do you keep the content fresh? Well, you either become a content company or you get millions of users to create millions of questions for millions of users. So now what does Entamax do for a living? They barely write code anymore. What they do is they moderate all of the content from the millions of players who submit new questions. They're now in the content moderation business because their fans are busy getting credit for creating new questions. Hey, this question was brought to you by Jim from Oklahoma. Hey, Jim from Oklahoma, 25 people loved your question. And now I've got status as a question producer. This is amazing. I'm a hero, and now you have endless free content. Same thing is true with Minecraft. Same thing is true with a Logitech Harmony, a universal remote control. It's not even a game. It's basically a utility for a piece of hardware. Did they make a special channel icon for every channel in the world? No. What they did was they made an open system so that you could make icons for every television channel in the world. And that's exactly what people have done. So these people can sell their icons to Logitech remote control users. These other people are making money. It's not Logitech doesn't make the money when I sell my icon sheet. The people who made it do. So all of a sudden you're creating another market. These people are now supplying stuff for what you've built, which is cool, and they're making money, so that's cool for them. You help them make money, they're going to create more stuff that makes your app more valuable. WordPress does the same thing. For all of us who are using WordPress, we can get lots of free templates, great. WordPress actually sells some templates on a WordPress store, but when this guy, sorry, not this guy, not WordPress.org. There's a different company out there whose screenshot I don't have right now. But he started up a third-party shop selling WordPress templates, and none of that money went back to WordPress. What do you think WordPress's attorneys did? They did not send a cease and desist order. They actually said, dude, would you mind if we promoted your template store? Well, of course he's going to say yes. This is this guy's living, right? But now, the more people who are selling templates for WordPress, the more people who are out there telling guys like me, you need to use WordPress. That's huge for sustaining a fan base of people who now have a joint venture with you. Not official, but they're in the same boat as you are, aren't they? So help these people be successful. Broadcasters. It's kind of like YouTube publishers, except they do it live. Again, Twitch streaming is another way for people to create content. If you know people who are playing your game or using your application and showing it on Twitch, give them some love, show links. Disney's done the same thing. When a bunch of 12-year-old girls started writing cute Club Penguin art and posting it up on their Facebook or MySpace pages, okay, not MySpace anymore, but posting it up on their YouTube page, on their Facebook pages, Disney's attorneys, I know, were tempted to send cease and desist orders. Instead, they said, no, put your picture up on the Club Penguin webpage. You know that some 12-year-old girl went back to 7th grade and said, my art's up on Club Penguin and yours isn't. At which point, this other 12-year-old girl went up there and looked at that and said, I can do better than that. And she gets a Club Penguin account and tells her friends. And next thing you know, there's an entire school of 12-year-old girls who just went out and got Club Penguin accounts so they can get their art up on the Club Penguin site. Absolutely brilliant. Great way to build a fan base. Do you have a way of doing that with your app? And you don't have to be big. There was a startup of high school girls in India, in Bangalore, India. They made an app that would get a nonprofit company to go into the street, pick up a mess that had created a navigation hazard, clear up the mess, and then leave. What you did is you reported the mess on your cell phone. The company would come by, clean it up so that cars, traffic, bicycles wouldn't run into it, and then the mess was gone. It was a public service kind of thing, which was nice. You know what made it really popular? The before and after pictures. They figured out that people were so happy that the mess actually got cleaned up, they were taking pictures and sending it to the girls. The girls started by taping this stuff to the whiteboard they were using for planning. Kind of, hey, we're doing good for society. Finally, somebody said, why don't you put this up on the site? Brilliant. People were taking before and after pictures. They posted before and after pictures. They got over 10 times as many requests when they started showcasing fan-created content like the before and after pictures, because they showed what makes a difference. They made unhappy people into happy people, which is ostensibly what you're trying to do with your apps, right? Turn people into happier people by offering value. So when you can demonstrate that value, you're helping build a fan base. Minecraft, endless content. Trivia Crack, endless content. So this is all going to help you build that part of the fan base that will get you more players, increase retention. But you can also generate additional revenue streams. You generate additional revenue streams by things that you do and by things that other entrepreneurs do. Things that you can do and create branded products. I love the Twitter cookie cutter over here. Someone thought they could sell that. They made it. What do you know? They can sell that. It actually works. Evernote, which is known for electronic note-taking, decided they were going to create a physical pen and paper notebook. It was kind of expensive. They had to strike a licensing deal with 3M for the Post-it notes. There were attorneys involved and a fair amount of expense, but it worked really well for them. My Singing Monsters has a plush doll. Cut the Rope has a t-shirt. But Cut the Rope and My Singing Monsters actually worked with Amazon on that. And if you go to merch.amazon.com, we'll let you take your art, put it on a t-shirt. We won't charge you anything. When someone comes, buys the t-shirt, we'll take our cost out of that and send you everything else. You pick the price you want to charge. It's all free. And so now, if nothing else, you can start selling t-shirts with your app on it. Or maybe a before and after picture, one on the front, one on the back. Whatever you decide is going to help start a conversation with people who are thrilled with your app. Kickstarter is a great way of generating revenue. Lots of people already have Kickstarter or other social funding sites. Again, it's a way to raise money outside your app. Getting Twitch subscriptions or YouTube subscriptions. Again, 11,500 subscriptions at $13 a month is a nice revenue stream. You start your own revenue stream with that. And now you've got all the components of actually building a really healthy fan base. And this is where I want you to take out your cameras and start taking pictures, because it kind of summarizes the points I've been making. So in order to get advocates, actually go and search communities where your customers hang out. If you're making a photography app, go to photography chat rooms, photography Twitter hashtags, photography YouTube sites, and look for people who can be beta testers. Get thousands of people's email addresses if you can, certainly hundreds if you can't get thousands, and invite them to early releases of your software. Apple lets you do this, Amazon lets you do this. You send everybody an email invitation to beta your app. You respond to their feedback, and now you've got your first 100 or 200 reviews before you ever launch your product. And it's easy and free to do. Engage advocates early. Do it before you launch. Give entertainers and other public advocates a super easy path to see what's great for their audience about your game. We talked about that. And make sure that you're providing a bunch of value to the audience for those entertainers. Encourage content creation. Do you have a place, at the very least, where you can put testimonials provided by the users of your application, or pictures by people who love your game? Do you have a way to promote people who are making educational content for levels in your game, or how to use your particular utility? If you don't have a way that you can help promote them, you're leaving some fan base stranded on the side of the road. So make sure you do that. And then make sure that you take advantage of all the free and insanely easy ways that you can use to generate revenue streams. One, make t-shirts. You can use Cafe Press in the US. Is Cafe Press available in Estonia? Cafe Press is really popular in the US. If you don't have Cafe Press in Estonia, use Amazon. Amazon's available in Estonia. And don't stop other people from making money. If other people are making a living out of promoting what you do, be thankful, not angry. Help promote them. Help them be super successful in your business, and they're going to try and make your business as successful as they can because their livelihoods depend on it. All right. Now you've got a really good fan base to surround your minimum viable product, and you can start taking your social marketing up to a more professional level that our industry is just getting used to. If you like this, please let us know. Go to Topconf 3, bit.ly Topconf 3. Let us know if this was useful. If it is, we'll give you more information like this. If not, my name's been Hank, and I'm from Google. And no. Also let Chris know if you like this. Chris has the hard job of finding someone who's going to be entertaining at the end of a very long 2 days. If this has worked for you, let Chris know on his survey. If not, they'll just kind of sweep me a little bit earlier in the morning so that you guys can get out of here earlier. Thank you very much. Thank you for attending the conference. Come back next year. I look forward to seeing all of you.
It's time for me to go home. You just closed the conference, Mike. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mike, first of all? I'm sure there are some, even if... Mike, could you repeat the question so it's recorded?
Absolutely. Questions? Yes. Yes. So the question is, how do you contact your customers? Because of the Attentive survey that says customers that you, the developer, reach out to are going to be, they're going to be 4 times as likely to be with you 3 months later. So how do you reach out to them? One of the best and most effective ways is responding to the feedback they leave on store sites. So if someone leaves you a 4-star review and says, this was great, except the boss death on level 3 is kind of dull. What you do is you go back and you respond, hey, thanks a bunch for your feedback. That gives me some really good ideas for the next revision of the product. Or if someone says, hey, instead of a boss death on level 3, why don't you introduce whales and UFOs? It'll be great. Thank you very much for your input. I don't think that'll make it into the next version, but I really appreciate your input. And you know what? He knows he's getting blown off, but he also knows you read it, and he also knows you care enough to write a very polite blow-off instead of a sarcastic one. So HomeNet Games in Poland did a zombie tower defense game. Yes, I'm a huge fan of zombie tower defense games. And he spent $0 on user acquisition. All he did was respond to every single feedback on the rating form. He did, I think, 14 builds in the first 6 days to accommodate customer feedback. It generated a groundswell, and by the time he was 2 weeks in, he was getting 120,000 downloads a day because he got the reputation of being responsive to players' needs and desires. It was huge. What about a very small percentage of your user base? The people who write reviews? Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, they're your influencers. The very small percentage of users who will leave a review or a star rating, those are the influencers you want to talk to anyway. Other questions? If not, coffee is outside. No, I think we actually put the coffee away, but certainly transportation is.
So, it's a sad moment because you have to go back to work. Thanks for the laughing. It's a happy moment. I think we had, I've heard from so many of you, you truly enjoyed it. I would like to thank you, participants, for being here 2 full days, spending so many hours with us here on various topics. I really hope you get something out, or you got something out of those 2 days. You go back to your work, you go back to your daily life, and you're inspired by some of the speakers' ideas, visions, and views, and you got some inputs which will help you in your future career, in your future life, in your business. For my side, on Topconf, I'd like to thank you. I hope to see you next year, November 16, 17, 2016 again. It's again a Wednesday, Thursday. So mark it, red, blue, yellow, whatever. Thank you for being here. Thanks to all the speakers for making this possible. Thank you for the sponsors, the program committee, and thank you once more as audience, as participants for coming here, for sharing your time with us. Thank you and see you next year.